Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to attach another roll of yarn and then I'm going to show you how to finish a blanket. So this one is a baby blanket, so it's not very big, it's just 21 stitches across, and the loops are much tighter than what I normally make them. But to show you how to add in another skein, you're just going to cross them over. So I say left over right, bring it down and around, and then you're just going to cross it over again and bring it through, and then tighten it from the top and tighten it from the bottom. Sometimes you'll do this too tight and you'll rip it, so just be careful, but you definitely want to do the top and the bottom a few times. Make sure there's no movement in the knot. And then the way I like to continue working is to lay out my yarn. And then we're just going to go ahead and finish this off. So when I'm creating the knots or the stitches, there's a lot of tension on the blanket as well. So I have my left hand holding the knot down that I just did, and then my two fingers grab the yarn, and then I put my finger through the next stitch and together pull through the next stitch while holding down the line before it, and just my ring finger and my baby finger keep a little bit of tension on the blanket, holding it in place, and that's how I get the consistency in the size of the blanket, and the evenness of the knots. So this is much tighter, like I said. This is for a baby blanket, so usually I would probably make them about double the size. If you're trying to figure out what size the stitches should be, it's definitely bigger than this, but this is super tight because it's a baby blanket. So again, I'm holding down the blanket with my right hand and guiding the yarn into the next loop. And again, that just keeps it consistent, so you can see that they're the same size about. Again, these are super small. But yeah, so I learned a really fun, super easy way to finish the blanket, which I'm excited to show you guys. And that will be in about 20 minutes from now, so we'll just work through this quickly. And the way I showed you how to add in the next skein is when you're working with the same color. So if you're working with a different color, then you want to make sure you're adding it in at the right spot, which is usually at the end of a row. So sometimes you're going to have some wasted yarn, which I just keep. I cut it off and then I keep it, and then I will one day make a blanket of all of the colors together, just so we don't waste it, and then maybe donate it to somebody that is homeless to try and keep them warm and cozy as well. So yeah, you just want to keep consistent, keep a little bit of tension on the blanket so that you make sure you are keeping consistent. So if you end up making your knots wider or looser, then your blanket's gonna kind of go in a V shape. So this one's actually not entirely perfect. I would have probably taken it out and redone it because it does go in just a little bit, so you can see here it's actually not perfect. So you want to make sure that your first row is also a little bit looser than what you think it should be, because I find that when you make it tighter, you just end up making your knots a little bit looser as you go, and that's where you get this like C shape in the bottom, and you just don't have like a perfect sizing. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine. It's still functional as a blanket. It still looks beautiful. This is just, I've become a little bit OCD with what I do. So hopefully, and if you want to see how I work the stitches, you can check out my other tutorial, and that one is just also, that was just a sample size, so that was just one skein, but I explain very slowly and in detail how to get the stitches and how to start a blanket. But if you have any questions, you can always follow me on Instagram. It's Off by Heart Design, and you could send me a DM there. I also make custom blankets, so if you're interested in purchasing a blanket, you can check out my website. It's offbyheart.ca, and I ship everywhere. The calculation will get, shipping will get calculated at checkout once you add in the blanket, and then put your address in, and it'll tell you how much that would cost. And yeah, so these blankets are great. They're polyester. They're machine washable, which is awesome. So the instructions are also on my website under this description of every blanket. And you can just wash them in the machine. They don't come unraveled. They won't shrink because they're polyester. And they don't shed, which is really nice as well because they're polyester. So they don't shred. They don't shed. And yeah, so I love my my TikTok family and everyone that I have that's following me. Very, very thankful during this time to be able to make blankets. So this again is something that helps with keeping the knots uniform because you don't have anything pulling against you. So if you kind of if you are the only one that's creating the force against the yarn, it's much easier to become consistent with your stitches. Okay, so we're getting closer to the end. But yeah, so just like, you can't see it's out of frame, but I have my yarn unraveled there, and I just make sure that there's nothing pulling against it. So I hold everything in place and get the working yarn out, and just, yeah, make sure it's free so you don't have anything pulling on it. And I like to work on something like a carpet that creates a little bit of friction so that the blanket doesn't move around and things don't shift. So let's see how many more rows we're gonna get. And to finish a blanket, you always leave way more than you think you're gonna need. But the beauty with this stitch is if you do use up too much and you can't finish the blanket, then it's pretty easy to undo it and then just, you know, get a little bit of extra yarn so that you can finish it properly. Okay, so I think that we'll get 2 more rows out of this one maybe, and then we'll finish it. we're gonna get one more, we'll get one more row, and then we'll close it. Hopefully, just want to make sure that you're in frame so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna finish here. So you've done your last loop, and then you're gonna pick up the next loop. So you're coming into 2 loops, okay? And you're gonna grab your loop, I like to put it between my fingers and pull it through, okay? And then I like to lay it down so that I know what my sizing is. And then you're gonna grab your next loop here and pick up your yarn and put it through. So when you lay it down, you're making sure that it's in line so that it's not too, that it doesn't become too tight and you don't get like a rounded shape. So this is cool. Yeah, sorry, so let me go over that again. So you created a loop, 1 loop, and you're gonna grab your second loop and you're gonna take your yarn, I like to put it between my fingers, and pull it through. So now you're back to 1 loop, and then you just head over to the next stitch, pull in your yarn, and you just keep it flat on the ground. You don't really need to pull here at all. You're just gonna try and keep it consistent again, always trying to make sure that everything is the same size, and that's how you get it to look really uniform and really pretty. And yeah, so this is, once in a while I'll give it a pull, but here you are, 1 loop, your second loop. I use my fingers and then just pull it through. Once in a while you can give it a tug if you need, just to make sure that it's, you know, tight enough, not too loose. So yeah, and then you just do it to the end, and then I'll show you. Here, we'll show you how you're gonna finish it. So 1 more stitch, and then your last one. So you're gonna come through, and then pretend like you're, so this is to close it. So you create your last loop here, and then you take your yarn and just pretend like you're gonna do the same stitch, but you're gonna pull this one all the way through. So I have a lot of leftover yarn on this one, and you pull it all the way through, and then you're just gonna pull it and it's gonna tighten on itself, okay? And then, so it's really easy. You don't even need scissors just to break it off. This is just a lot of extra. So then I make sure to tie it on itself again so that it doesn't come undone. I do that twice. Okay, and then, so that's your baby blanket. Now I'm working on the back side. And so I just pick spots to kind of wrap it through. I like to wrap it through like the middle stitch. It doesn't really matter, it's just, you're just gonna try and keep it like clean so it looks like a braid almost. I like to make sure that it's tight also. So I'd probably just even stop it like right there and then tie it again on itself. So let's see. So then I just tie it, and I tie it on the back side, okay? So it's just tied in, and then I'll get scissors. I do it twice, okay? And I do it on the back side because then when you cut it, then it's the back. So you don't have to worry, like it'll look really pretty. So you have the finishing gives it this really beautiful braid, like a really, really pretty braid. So that's the finish, and then this was the start, which I didn't show you on this tutorial, but you can check out my other tutorial that shows you how to do that. And then same with the first side, you just braid it through so you make it look nice and even and clean. And then you just cut off the extra. You'll tie it double and then cut off the extra string. And again, I like to tie my end on the back side. So this stitch here is the back side, and I consider this stitch the front. So there you have it. Now we have a beautiful little baby blanket. And yeah, so make sure to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment and give it a like if you enjoyed watching this video, and follow me on Instagram. It's Off by Heart Design, and check out my website. So thank you. Have a great day.